If you have the ability to move, don't waste it. That line, it stayed with me because in this episode, I'm talking with my friend Ashley Schneider. And let me just say, I'm officially obsessed. Her story is powerful. She grew up watching her mom live with multiple sclerosis, losing the ability to move, but never losing her spirit. And that changed everything for Ashley. It led her to do something most people wouldn't even consider. She ran across the US. Yeah, like across the country. Not just for the challenge, but to raise awareness, to build community, and to remind us all not to take our bodies or our ability to move for granted. We talk about endurance, purpose, and what it really means to use what you have while you have it. And how movement isn't just physical. It's connection, it's impact, it's life. This one will light a fire in you. Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. I am here today with Ashley Schneider, and I've only just met her, and we've had already the best conversation, and we had to press record right away because there's just so much, and we're going to get right back into it so you can be part of this too. So without further ado, Ashley, welcome to the Spark Konnect. If you could please introduce yourself, tell us about what you do, and also your form of athleticism.
Thank you so much for having me. I am Ashley Schneider. I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit called MS Run the US. So I lead this nonprofit. We have America's longest relay run, and we are doing running and fundraising for MS awareness. And my form of athleticism is running and CrossFit, a lot of high intensity interval training type of workouts.
Oh man, it's so cool. As I was reading your bio, everyone sends me really cool information in their bios, everybody, and we post them in the show notes. But she has this one line here. I just love it. If you have the ability to move, then do it. I just love it. And so also tell me about America's largest, or did you say longest relay run?
America's longest relay run. Yeah.
Longest relay. So tell me about that. What is a relay run? Yeah.
Well, the event that I put together, I'm wondering if I should start with the quote that you just said. If you have the ability to move, then do it. And fitness and exercise and loving wellness has definitely been a gift for me when I was very young. I loved running, I loved fitness, but also my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis before I was born. And so I saw her lose her ability and her function to the disease. And it was one of those things where when I was 8, her and I would bike together. That was the last time that we were able to bike together because we went out and she lost her balance and fell and was bruised and bloody, and we had to walk back home together. When I was 11, she had to give up water skiing because she was no longer strong enough to pull herself out of the water. It's something that she had done from very young. And when I was 14, it was playing the piano. She didn't have the fine motor skills anymore to really gracefully play the piano. And so I watched her lose her abilities. So not only this love of fitness that I had innately was just coupled with seeing that, I mean, my mom was young. She was diagnosed in her early 30s, and I was watching her lose her ability through her 30s and 40s. And so I knew that you're not promised a healthy body to any period of time, that especially with multiple sclerosis, but other diseases, someone could be diagnosed in their 20s or 30s or 40s. And I knew that from a very young age. And so I just really always appreciated the ability to move my body. That led to me starting my nonprofit. I got this crazy idea when I was 24. I graduated with a degree in exercise and sports science. I was working on a cruise ship, traveling around the world. I was getting off in ports and I was running around the city. So I knew that seeing cities on foot was a really great way to experience the world. And anyone who's ever been in athletics know that you kind of get some crazy ideas when you're working out. Like you're just fueled by endorphins and you just think about, maybe you're on the rowing machine and you're like, what would it be to be like a rower in a competition, right? Like your mind just kind of goes a little bit.
I say 100%. This is what probably keeps me going back into the gym all the time because I get all the ideas for, I'm going to do that in my next speech. All of them come when I'm in the gym. And then I put them into the ChatGPT voice recorder on my way home driving. I'm like, remember this? I had this really cool, crazy idea. It's totally the gym.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And athletics is like fuel for your mind. And it really just opens up this free pathway for a lot of thoughts, right? Some of them are not worthwhile pursuing, and some of them are. So, one of the ideas I got was to run across America. I had never run a marathon before or fundraised any money, but I decided to run from San Francisco to New York and try and raise $500,000 for MS and my mom, and just talking about who she was. Because it wasn't just like, she lost her abilities as I was growing up, but she had a great spirit. She was not defined by her circumstances. And she did every day. Her motto was do as much as you can for as long as you can. So if she woke up and she couldn't walk, she would be like lifting a water bottle from the couch. She's stretching her arms and she's putting them above her head. I would see her do squats from the couch. So she'd be sitting down and then she would you know, with a lot of effort, if she could stand up and then sit back down. And so I saw what it looks like to know your value and your worth no matter what your circumstances are. And so I wanted to share that with other people. And my vehicle to do that was to run across the country because I finally was feeling empowered to do something against MS, which really broke my heart. So I had this thing that I
Yeah.
was a lot of pain, broke my heart. But then I had this strength of running and fitness. And I put those two things together and I ran across America in 2010. And when I got to New York, I raised 11% of my fundraising goal. So everybody was celebrating this athletic achievement, but I felt to a certain degree really disappointed because the whole thing was to raise awareness and funds and make an impact on MS. But I met a lot of people along the way who said they wanted to do something similar, but didn't have the time or the resources. So that's what America's Longest Relay Run is. It's a run across America from Santa Monica to New York. There's 21 sections across the country. Each runner that is a part of my team, they apply to do 6 marathons in 6 days, which is they do for 1 week what I did for 6 months. And then they each fundraise $10,000 to be on the team. And through America's Longest Relay Run, which has been going across the country every year for the last 14 years, we've raised over $4 million.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I can understand that 11% when you said that. At first I was like, wow, but then wait, only 11. I got you. But wow, but you turned it into something even bigger and better.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
I really
I
learned
believe it.
that
Yeah.
being in community and having others be interested in this opportunity, but then doing it for a greater purpose is really what was going to equal the impact that I was looking to make.
Yeah. Wow. Is there a moment where you actually pass a baton when you get to that?
Yes, there is. Sometimes the athletes don't always meet because how it works is, let's say you applied and you were given a segment. You basically have 6 days. So you got 6 marathons to run in 6 days. It's city to city. So it's like, okay, you're supposed to be at this city on this day. You start here. And then we have an RV and a team that travels across the country to help this one runner do the segment. And so when they finish, the goal is to finish by noon on your finish day. And then sometimes the runner they'll start the next day. So sometimes
Okay.
they'll miss each other by a few hours. A lot of times they try and get there by the finish, but it's not always the case. Occasionally the runners meet. I always tell people the runner finishes, there is a physical baton. It can be handed off from like the road crew to the next runner. So there is really that team aspect of there is a baton that travels across the country. It's been the same baton for the last 14 years.
Wow. That's like it reminds me of the Olympic torch, like it's being passed and it's a thing to get to see it.
Very symbolic, to have a
Yeah.
physical thing that we're connecting all of the athletes to.
This is absolutely incredible.
Thank
Is
you.
it the same route? It's a planned out specific route? Okay. And
It is. I
people
have very
apply.
detailed notes on very specific roads in the middle of nowhere.
That's probably a little bit safer to a certain extent for the runners,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
then
it
do
really
you arrange the crew or do they each arrange their own crews?
we hire the crew for the nonprofit. So I do a hiring process in January, and specifically it's a 2-person crew team. So one person is a health coach. They're really there to keep the runner moving, to keep them hydrated, eating, monitoring pace, knowing how they're feeling emotionally, being that big support person. And then we have a media road crew, and that person is really there to cultivate the story
Okay.
and share what happens on the road and share the mission of the nonprofit on digitally. So we do daily posts on Instagram, and then at the end of each segment, so every week we post a run and review on YouTube. So it's really just like an interview curated. Usually it's about 6 to 7 minutes video on what the week was like and an interview with the runner.
And this is your whole business right now that you run. And how
Mhm.
many times a year does this run happen?
So the run across the country happens once a year. So it takes 4.5 months to run across the country. There's very seasonal things that we are not running through the winter, the equipment. There's a lot of logistics that go into it. The run across the country is a heavy beast, but we are building into new programs. So we have something called Team Endurance. That's our race team. So people that want to run for MS at a marathon or at a relay event can do that with our Team Endurance. We have MS run clubs. We have a digital community that we're building. And my long-term dream is to build a MS Fit Gym, which would be like a curated fitness program and community for people living with MS to, like my mom, work on their fitness, work on their exercise, be in community and connection with other people that have, similar things that they're managing. But really, MS can separate people from their community because it can take away little pieces of independence. And so this is a way to really keep people in community, not only just the person living with MS, but also their caregivers and their care team. It can be really great to just be in connection with people that understand the difficulties that go along with the disease.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of it in the news right now with Christina Applegate sharing her
Mm.
story and her book. I just actually listened to the audiobook version because she read it.
Yeah.
Boy, what a thing. She has a belief that she has MS because of early childhood trauma.
It's usually, chronic illness is something that is initiated from stress.
Yeah.
Stress is so broad, and so once it's turned on, there's no going back
Yeah.
with it. There's ways to manage it. But yeah, she's had a really tough go with
Yeah.
her MS. There are people who are diagnosed with MS and they have, they manage it with not a lot of terrible symptoms. But then there are people that are diagnosed and very quickly go from athlete to wheelchair in a year.
It seems like
Or,
that's her. And I think she's actually currently hospitalized.
yeah, I mean, she keeps her goals really bare minimum to just try and take her kids to school. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the heartbreaking thing with MS. And one of the reasons that I'm like, hey, if you've got the ability to move, don't waste that.
I understand more fully now. Do you still have your mom?
She died 9 years ago
Okay.
in a really graceful way, actually. So she was regularly having pneumonia through winter.
Mhm.
And she had pneumonia. We didn't know it. And she went to sleep one day and didn't wake up. So, really graceful way for her to pass. It was obviously heartbreaking.
Yeah.
She visits me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So, she's, gone from the human form, but she's still very present in my life.
Oh, that's very special. Thank you for sharing about that. I have so many questions. Does the greater organization or what would be the organization that is the like an MS foundation?
The
What is that called?
It's called the National MS Society.
Do they know about you and are they involved with all that you do? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a really great partnership. So one of the areas of our mission is financial aid support for those who need equipment or home modifications. But we're a small nonprofit. We don't really have the capacity to field those requests, but the National MS Society does already have that. And so we work with their program. It's called the MS Navigator Program. And so if you're diagnosed with MS, you can connect with the Navigator program. They basically help you navigate MS. They help you make sure that you have a neurologist, that you understand all the insurance stuff, that you understand new medications coming out, that you have the things that you need as you're trying to figure out how to manage your life with this new disease. And one of the parts of that is you can submit for financial aid requests for a variety of different things with the National MS Society. Specifically, what we do at MS Run the US is we fund things that improve quality of life and movement. So wheelchairs, ramps, bathroom modifications, vehicle modifications. We're really looking to increase independence and overall well-being.
Wow. I'm so glad they know about you. Of course they do. Another question that was coming up for me was when you ran it by yourself in 2010, you did the whole thing. And I'm
Mhm.
certain it's a very different operation today as it is a relay. And so what are some of the things that are very different? Like how I guess as I'm listening to you, I'm like, how did she do that? And you must have had other people around you, what was What is even the question? I guess, what are some of the major differences? Because it's very different as a relay, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's so one of the major differences is when I ran across the country, I was new to ultra running. What we do is called ultra running. I was new to ultra running and I didn't know what was really needed to take care of an ultra runner. So I got this crazy idea. I quit my job on the cruise ship, moved home, but I had a boyfriend at the time, a new boyfriend. He loved the idea too. And then we started talking about, hey, what if you come with me? So he ended up being my crew person. He did a great job for the circumstances that we were in, but also there were a lot of gaps. It's very early mornings. I was obsessed with the running, like the amount of miles that I had to run. My average was 24 miles a day, 6 days a week for 6 months.
I'm all proud of myself if I hit 1 mile on the tread
And you
one
should
day.
be.
I'm like, oh, and not that you were comparing, but I just think that is amazing. I mean, it goes back to what you said in the beginning. You're like, I loved running. I never did. When I was a kid, I was like, I literally hate running.
And I tell people too, people come up to me and they're like, I don't like running. I was like, you don't have to. There's a lot of things that you can do for fitness. You can swim, you can do the elliptical, like you can
Yeah.
do those body combat classes. My
Yeah.
thing is, hey, everybody should be a runner. It's just,
No,
I
yeah.
want everybody to move. And that
Yeah.
looks different for a lot of people. Go hike, go on a walk and do some stretches. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities. And
There's
so,
so much. And to be fair too, I don't hate running as much today as I thought I did as a kid because I've had some experiences with it. And I can say that what I love is the feeling on the other side of wow, my body can do that. And the way that I feel now that I have done that, not only physically, but emotionally.
mhm.
So I am no longer a, non-lover of running. I think it's hard to say that I'm a lover of running. I have a great, gigantic appreciation for it at this point.
Right. And you've
Yeah.
done that through repetitions.
Yes.
So if you think about when you started running or when you started exercising, your tank was at zero, right? Or your bank account was at zero. And every time you do something, you put a rep in, and that's a mark towards your confidence. And not every workout is great. Sometimes you have workouts that are terrible and you're tired and you can hardly show up to do the thing. And especially when you start, there's a lot more workouts like that don't feel very good.
Yeah.
And it's hard to conceptualize that it will get better. And I always tell people, like, I want them to commit for like 6 weeks. I'm real big on 30-day challenges, but also when it comes to exercise, if you're going from like nothing to something, 6 weeks is a really good mark to where like your body has changed physiologically to adapt to what you're doing, and it will start to feel better. But in the very beginning, it feels terrible. Right. And so it's all about the reps. And so by the time that I ran across the country, I had put in a lot of running reps because I always loved running. I have very early memories of loving long distance running. And so to your question of like, what is the biggest difference? So I went across the country with my boyfriend. I just kind of, my parents were wonderful, and they always, like, even with my running, they showed up for ultra running. There's like aid stations. So they would show up to the aid stations. They were early morning people. And so what I did find out is that the way that you take care of an ultra runner is not just hydrating them and feeding them, but there's emotional care, and there's a lot of weight that can bring you down when you're trying to face a lot of miles, and then something as little as like not having a specific nutrition thing that you needed in the flavor that you wanted, or not getting out on the road in the specific time. Those things can really, like, all of a sudden they feel like really big deals, right? So what we do now for the run across the country is I have a very intentional application process for the road crew team that takes care of our runners. And we have this amazing training process because I have this experience of, even though I was taken care of, there are things that I felt like I wasn't well taken care of in. And I know how that can weigh on someone mentally. So I'm like, okay, we're going to train the individuals that we hire to know how to be this foundation for the runner to do this very hard thing on, because they're going to go on a lot of high emotional highs, and there'll be a lot of emotional low lows, and there will be a lot of anxiety, and there will be a lot of, so we've, over the last 14 years, been able to see how runners perform. And these are not elite athletes. These are everyday people who want to see what it's like to test their body in this way while also fundraising and being a part of team.
Yeah.
So having the road crew is like the unsung heroes. They're kind of like the caregivers for someone living with MS. They do a lot of work that is invisible, that is required to keep that person functioning at a reasonable level.
Yeah.
A lot of training on that, and then I try and do a lot of personal supporting of them so that they know that they are appreciated and that they have a significant role and that they're really making a big difference.
Wow. There's so many things that are coming up for me right now regarding what you're doing to prep the athlete who is running, but all of the support that is around them as well, and all the prep that goes into that support team. The parallel to what we do as speakers, what we need to do as speakers, what isn't always available to us, and also not only speakers, but trainers and facilitators. And I think that the world has an expectation, the world, I'm going to speak for the whole world. Let's say the audience. The audience have an expectation that that speaker or that trainer will be as great as the person who's completing that race.
Mm.
That when they
Mhm.
go up there, they will be that effective, that engaging, that worth their time. And yet, what goes into the person who's running, if it's done right, of course, what you're talking about, it's a lot. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of investment in many different ways. And how often is it just absolutely not the case for the speakers and the trainers? And whether by choice or because they work at an organization that they're training for and it's a different situation. But I don't know. I started thinking of NSA, and NSA is like the crew team, isn't it? Or it can be.
Can be. I would say the NSA is like, it's almost like the team, right? So we've got the relay team because multiple runners do the thing, right? And so the NSA, it's like I feel like there's other speakers doing the thing. So they're in it, and the team is important. Like being on a team and seeing other people doing it and then getting information from them. So to your example, the ultra relay in relation to speaking is like a TED Talk, right? We don't start at the TED Talk. We don't
Right.
speakers and say, hey, I'm going to do a TED Talk, right? You go and talk to your local Lions Club. You go talk to the Optimist Club. You gather a group of friends and say, hey, I want to test out this 20 minutes of my speech. And I want, this specific feedback. Those are easy, low hanging fruit reps in which it's not high stakes because you've got this small group that doesn't have high expectations. They're interested in hearing your story. They're okay with the mistakes. That's like the local 5K. So the runners that do the ultra relay, they've done a lot of local 5Ks. They've put in a lot of the miles. When I consider someone for the team, they have to have done at least a half marathon. If they've done a half marathon, I can conceptualize putting them into this very curated training program where if they do these miles and work with our coach, then I know they're going to be prepared for the segment, which is like the big stage. So imagine having like the TED Talk as the big goal, but then coming into a program and a business and a community that said, hey, we want you to speak on TED for us. And in order to do that, we have this program that you're going to follow. And if you speak on this many locations with this audience and this stage, and here's your coach who's going to tell you how you're doing and give you feedback, by the time TED comes around, you will be ready. And look
Yeah.
at all these other people that have been ready, and we know that you can do it. So that's the kind of comparison
I
that,
wish that existed.
yeah.
But I've been a speaker a long time and I'm learning around growing and learning and changing my business into the keynote speaking world. And I wouldn't just as you said, go to the Lions Club, go to the Optimist Club. I'm like, oh, I should note that. Like I didn't. And most of the time, when you're reaching out to other speakers about where do I get the gigs? How do I do the thing? For me, it has been that it hasn't been as clear as what you've just described as it would be for the runners that you're looking for. That there's like a lot of people who don't really know. There's a lot of competition, unfortunately. And let's not tell anyone else how we got there and what we did. And then there's a lot of in the social media. I didn't ever want to be a speaker, but I'm just so great. It happened to me because I had a great idea and a great thing happened. And so it's a sort of weird, it doesn't seem like we get there in the same way. And so as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, I wish it existed where we had that. But to be fair too, I should mention NSA what Ashley and I are talking about is the National Speakers Association. I do feel like there's a lot of opportunity in that organization. It plays out in different ways, though, for it to be like that, to be like the support, but like you said, the team, because a lot of them are speakers. They're not exactly the crew. But what an
Yeah.
interesting concept if NSA had a portion of it that was and acted like the crew. That's so
A crew would
interesting.
almost be like an executive coach or like a speaking coach. That's who the crew would almost, or like a coach that would come watch you speak and give you critical feedback every single time. But for only like, the crew is only with you for a week. It would have to be like a really dialed in thing. It's in relation to athletics, the speaking is like reps, so sometimes you get the reps in alone where you're video recording yourself or you're speaking, and then you think about like the local 5K, those are reps too. And the speakers I've seen that are the best just get the most reps in.
They do, and they're able to look past it. Because I know that a lot of times when people are seeing recordings of themselves or they're getting feedback from people, it really doesn't serve in the same way that it would serve an athlete. It's more emotional and like, I wasn't good enough. And a lot of people receive it that way, or maybe it's given that way, or whatever it may be, I think.
I think they're very relatable. I think a lot of people don't go to the gym because they don't think they're good enough, or you know what I mean? So I think I'm kind of like, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And so it can really be this concept of, if you get in there and you get a rep and it doesn't go well, can't be your only data point. You've got to get more data points before you understand if you're like where you need to learn. And that's so hard. That's so hard, having the confidence, especially when it comes to speaking, to go out there and speak, get feedback, and then depending on what the feedback is, say, okay, this is simply just a data point, because it's not that easy.
I mean, like in the speaker world, you got to get hired and you got to be the best to get hired. So it's kind of difficult to go out there and speak.
I
There's a
don't think
million
you
ways
have
to
to
do
be
it,
the
of course.
best. I think you just have to be really likable and
I
have
think
something worth sharing.
it'd be really likable and have something worth sharing. And then you got to take the feedback as you would take it from an athletic standpoint, really, where, okay, that's a data point. Let's work through that. I think that's an excellent point. Because, another thing that's going to happen too is that in a corporate setting with trainers and facilitators, they're hired, they already are employed usually, or they're contracted and they're doing the job. And then they go in, they're brand new trainers and they do the class as they've been told to do, that they've probably just learned. And then there's the dreaded smile sheet, that feedback form of, did you like your trainer today? Like, to your point, likable. And they're getting that kind of feedback right away without there being any kind of support around it or understanding around it. You're handed your little papers, you read it, and then you've got to go on and like hand that into your boss. And I think it's like this somewhat traumatic environment for people in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, I don't know where to go. You go.
I agree with you. I think it can be really traumatic. And it's almost like, we'll stay with the analogy with like athletics, right? So it's like when you begin to know what you're doing in the gym, you begin to come up with a routine and you begin to understand what to expect. And it's like, I wear this outfit and I fill my water bottle up at this water station and I warm up this way and I get prepared and here's the music that I listen to and this really gets me, so you have all of these, you build this framework around your psyche being prepared to do the thing. So I think about that with like the trainer, for example. I had a recent experience in a speaker lab with the NSA where I got feedback that I did not take very well. And it wasn't because they gave great feedback. It was critical feedback. I was not prepared to hear that. I thought I was crushing it because of a few things that I had been building on, a few things that I'd been working on, a few speaking events. And I go in there expecting to get feedback, but I also was feeling like I was crushing it. And I expected some of the feedback to be, you're great, you're ready to go for like the 10K, speaking things. And that was not what I got. And so to your point, It was like the smile sheet where like my expectations weren't in line with what I was going in to do. I was going in for feedback, but I had not prepared myself to really get feedback.
Mm,
And so now I think about, again, that's the reps, right? Like I got to go back and show up and do that again. And I will be better at getting feedback this time around. One, because I've taken the feedback, I've processed, I've given myself my little like pity pouty party. I allowed that. I was like, that didn't feel good. I don't want to do this anymore.
yeah.
um, but then I process it and I say, I really do like speaking and I think I have something valuable to share. And I've got some things to learn because I'm really pretty new at it. And so now I'm going through this process of learning and growing, right? This is the equivalent of going to the gym, doing a workout, expecting to feel great, expecting to lose 5 pounds right away, feeling really sore. Like I can't walk down the stairs kind of sore because I just did not take it the way that I should. And now you got to repair, you've got to recover, but then you've got to go back to the gym, right? The
Okay.
solution isn't don't go to the gym. The solution is, maybe take it a little bit easier. Be like, take your lessons back with you and then show up again. Showing up again is super, super important if it's something that you feel you want to do and need to do and have a place where you add value to what you're looking to accomplish.
I love that so much. I always have at the end a question of teach us something. I think you just did it because that framework and that do it again that you just mentioned, it occurs to me how much comfort I have wearing my favorite workout outfit, putting my stuff in this certain locker in a certain space where I like to sit and put my shoes on at this one space because it's enough room. And then I fill my water bottle up at the exact same station every time. There's so much comfort in that routine, which
Mm-hmm.
is then giving me more confidence to try things that I've not tried before or to go for a challenge that I haven't yet attempted. But I know I'm in my favorite outfit. I've got my water bottle. I've got everything's in place, all these things. And it seems sort of simple, but it's actually epic.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's making the whole thing happen. And if we can apply that kind of routine and framework and consistency to the way that we speak and the process of learning to speak, oh, it's just a beautiful thing.
I'll take it one step further.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to do when I'm challenging myself and I'm learning something new is I give myself 30 days. It's a 30-day challenge. I'm going to do this one new thing for 30 days and I will at a minimum only do it for 10 minutes a day. So I commit to something that I'm going to do for the 10 minutes every day and I'll do it for 30 days. And that is all that I commit myself to. I don't know what happens after that, but over the 30 days, you're going to build some new habits and you're going to create some routines. And the consistency of showing up every day for those 10 minutes, those are the added reps that give you the confidence to figure out what that looks like after the 30 days. And so I would encourage you and anyone listening, do a 30-day, 10-minute challenge where you commit to something and you're going to do it every day for 30 days for 10 minutes. And 10 minutes I feel is small enough that we can figure out where it would fit into our schedule.
Yes. Are you doing this? What are some examples of what you committed to for 10 minutes a day for 30 days?
I have a lot of athletic examples. Do you want an athletic example or a speaker example?
Do you have one athletic example that maybe your favorite one or the one that's coming to mind? And then is there one that you have for speaker too? Because I was going to ask you, and is this what you do for yourself as a speaker as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the athletic example would be I just did a push-up challenge. I was not feeling great about the way my arms looked. And I was like, I'm going to do, I went a little heavy on the reps for the commitment, but I figured out, I stuck with it and I figured out how to break them up throughout the day to make them manageable. So for 30 days, I wanted to try and now keep in mind, I'm going to give you the number, but keep in mind, I've been an athlete for my whole entire life. So this number
Yes.
in
Yeah,
relation
the number isn't what it is. The number is important to you, right? So
yes. Okay. So I came up with the reps that I want to do and I committed to X amount of push-ups every day for 30 days.
we do want
And
to know the number because you're such a badass. So,
well, it was 100 push-ups.
oh my gosh, that is amazing. But yes, let's all keep in mind you were coaching people at 12 years old, right?
Well, and also like I learned, like this something I'm learning for myself is I generally make really big goals.
Okay.
And then sometimes I like have to recalibrate, right? So it really ended up being a lot of like 10 sets of 10 push-ups throughout the whole entire day because to sit there and try and do 100 push-ups was really like challenging sometimes.
It's very
Right?
military.
Yeah. Well, and it was a learning process. Like, what am I capable of? Was this too much? Was it not enough? So it was like that's part of it too, is like it doesn't have to be perfection. It's like, what can I do? What have I committed to? It's like showing up every day and figuring out what's the 10-minute thing look like, right? So that's the athletic version. Speaker, it could definitely be, writing your keynote. For me, it's important for me to speak out loud because I get stuck in my head a lot. I am a writer. And so I will write stuff and I'll get stuck in my head. So my 30-day, 10-minute challenge would be to actually speak parts of my keynote and video record myself for 10 minutes a day for 30 days. I don't have to do anything with those videos. I don't have to send them to anyone. I don't have to post them online. But taking video and having that repetition and hearing my voice and hearing the words that I wrote and saying it out loud will only help my mind get better at actually speaking in front of audiences.
I love this so much.
Yay.
10 minutes for 30 days, record yourself. It's so good. You are so cool. I was just completely inspired by you and want to keep talking to you all day long. You know what? Also, I want to tell you, you're a very clear and eloquent speaker.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so easy to talk to you and you very clearly state what you are thinking, and so to hear that, you say you're newer at speaking and, then to share some of the a little bit more vulnerable things that you shared today, you shared them so clearly and easily. And I could listen to you all day.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was
Yeah.
wonderful talking with you too. You're a wonderful interviewer. You have great questions.
Well, thanks. You're so easy and interesting. I have a push-up question before we go anywhere, and then I want to tell everybody where they can connect with you and learn more about what you've done, and also catch your book because you've got a brand new book that came out too. But I do have a quick push-up question. I saw a thing the other day. Like a lot of women, like we're guided to do push-ups like the guys do, arms forward. But I saw this thing where like if you put your hands out like this, somehow. Like women, our arms, like because of our hips and things, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I tried it. It was a whole internet thing. I tried it. And like, for me, like doing several push-ups I can do it, but it's not easy. I put it that way. And I was able to bust out 15 push-ups, like with no problem. So I don't know. I was talking to another person. They were like, well, you should just put your hand in all the different places because you're building different muscles anyway. But what's the whole thing about that? Like, why is that so much easier for me to do? And is that a good thing that was easier for me to do? Or is it just, I don't know. I'm still confused by it.
Well, whether it's a good thing or not is really up to you to decide. But the thing that I think is really important with push-ups is, yes, you can put your hands in different positions to target different muscles, but especially as we age, it's important that we take care of our shoulders. And so it is, in my opinion, important to bring your elbows in a little bit closer, which as you do this, that's what it does, is it brings your elbows in closer versus like this, where you're now really stressing the shoulder in a different way than you are in this position. And so I do encourage that, especially for high rep push-ups. And it also, if you care about this or not, it does target the tricep more, which can keep your arms nice, firm, strong, all of that. So I do prefer kind of thumbs up, elbows in. It targets the back of the arm and it protects the shoulder a little bit more. It does target the chest as well. So I think it just, speaking of military, it's a military push-up and they do a lot of high reps, high strength type of things. So
and they put their arms out a little bit when they're doing those. That's very interesting. I'm learning so much about it and the nuances, and it felt so good to do it and be like, I am stronger. And I just couldn't believe how many more I could do with that position, that slight change. But anyway.
You just said it felt so good to do it. So I would say keep doing it that way, right?
Yeah, I am doing it.
I would keep
and I've been like showing all the other ladies at the gym. I'm like, do it like this. And they're like, OMG, it's really cute.
Yeah, I love that.
Anyway, oh my gosh. Okay, so where can we get connected with you and learn more about what you are up to next? And also about the relay. Where can we watch the relay? And we'll put all this in the show notes too.
The relay you can follow on MS Run the US. It's at MS Run the US on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm Ash M. Schneider on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook is Ashley M. Schneider. But if you head to my website, ashleymschneider.com, you can check out my book. It's called The Long Run Home. It's about my run across America and starting my nonprofit. But the overarching message is dare to begin. I want people to know that they're smart enough and they're strong enough to figure it out as they go along. And when you read my book, you can see that I did not have all of the things planned out perfectly. And I feel like I was really honest and vulnerable about the mistakes that I made and the things that happened and the ways that I felt very inadequate. But I kept showing up. And now here I am 17 years later.
Love it. The Long Run Home. I'm going to read it right away. Thank you for your time today. You are delightful and also completely inspiring. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
That's your spark. Now go light something up. And hey, if this episode lit you up, share it with a friend, a fellow facilitator, or someone who needs a little more connection in their day. Be sure to follow the Spark Konnect so you don't miss what's next. We've got more brilliant voices, bold ideas, and heart-forward conversations coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and keep showing up.